It's me, I'm back! It's been a while. I hope you didn't miss me too much. Good lord, I saw an ad and I need to go to a hospital. Grim, thank you for 10 months. Oh my god, that's crazy. 10 months. 10 months is wild. Eventually I'll start saying like a year. It'll be a year pretty soon. That's crazy. Thank you so much, bro. So I'm back. How is everybody? How have you been? I hope you didn't miss me too much. I had a not super productive week. Well, yes and no. It's a lot of December, the end of the year, really puts me in a very reflective mood. So a lot of the stuff that I was kind of working on this past week was like figuring out where to go from here, right? It was a little bit less of worrying about what we want to do right now and a little bit more of what we want to achieve in 2025. Because you were gone, I was forced to fill the time by watching an ungodly amount of Bleach. Oh yeah? How far did you get? Are you caught up yet? The Aizen fight was cool? Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. I don't remember a lot of the... I remember, like, the Grimmjow fight. I don't remember a lot of Ichigo's fights, specifically. I remember a lot of the fights that, like, the other characters took part in. Like, especially with the Arankars. But a lot of Ichigo's fights I don't really remember. I remember his fight with, was it Ulquiorra, I think? The green one? Is that him? It was like number 4 or whatever. I remember that one. That was a big one. I remember his fight with Byakuya. Once Ichigo came out of the hyperbolic time chamber, he worked Aizen so hard. Yeah, bro, that one moment I remember that from specifically from that fight is him grabbing Aizen by the face mid-sentence and dragging him somewhere else. That was sauce. Fuck, that's absolutely what you should do in that situation. Fuck yeah. Shut up, we are leaving. The space pirate rushed him out of Kamakura. Yeah. Fuck this guy. Get him out. Ulquiorra fight was 8 episodes, his Aizen fight was only 2. Right? See? That's why I remember the Ulquiorra fight a little better. Just because it was longer, I guess. Oh, it's like Dragon Ball Z syndrome. I would kind of like to talk a little bit about stuff that I want to do in next year, but I feel like I should maybe wait. I feel like I should wait until closer to New Year's Eve. I feel like that would be a bit more... It would give me a little more time to kind of flesh things out. But it is the kind of thing that I've been thinking about, is what I want to do next year. Because this year has been good. This year has been grand. But I feel like I need to do more. I feel like I want to do more. And I need to figure out how to take responsibility to do those things, to do more things. It's very the onus is on me, basically, to reach out, to spread out, to meet new people, do things. Nobody else is gonna do it for me, you know. And I do a lot of thinking and not a lot of doing, so that's one thing that's gotta change. I gotta start just doing, like, just going for it, doing it live. But one thing I would like to continue doing is Mythos Mondays. We're finally back with Fate Stay Night. We're doing part 2 of night 3 because day 3 is like astronomically long. Last time we went to school. We stayed late after school. We stumbled upon Archer fighting Lancer, and then got murdered by Lancer, and then got resurrected by Rin, and then went back home, and then almost got murdered by Lancer again, and then summoned Saber, and then fought off Lancer, and then Rin gave us a lecture about the Holy Grail War, and now we're at the church. That was a lot of things that happened, and there's a lot of things that are still going to happen, because we're going to get a lore dump from Kodomine, and then we're going to get ambushed by Berserker, I'm pretty sure. Not to spoil it, but, you know, the anime's been out for, what, 2 decades now, almost? Something like that. It came out in, like, 2006, I think, so... Yeah, so there's a lot still to get through in day 3, which is crazy. I think... Here we go. Let me, I don't know exactly how long it's going to take, but I imagine it's going to take a pretty decent amount of time. Let me open up the flow chart here. What? Gilgamesh, thank you for 11 months. How? It's been 11 months? Wait, I don't think that maths. Because then if you resub next month in January, that would be 12 months. But we didn't hit affiliate until February. I don't think we did. I could be remembering wrong, I guess. I was pretty sure it was like February, like 4th or something was the day we actually hit it. I don't know. Thank you anyway. Thank you for however many months you've been here. Oh, it was the end of okay, it was the end of January, not the beginning of February. Okay, then that makes a little more sense. Yeah, okay, yeah, that checks out. Okay. Oh yeah, you got first. Yeah, I forgot that I set those up. Congratulations, Gilgamesh, on getting first. Anyway, yeah, I was a couple of minutes late today. I was watching Numi's new debut because her new model looks so cool. I love the big oversized jacket and the hair. The hair is a good look. The hair is a good look. I love art, man. I love VTuber models, man. I just love VTubers, bro. I love the art because, like, I can't walk up to a person in real life and say, "Hey, I like the shape of your mouth," because I'll get fucking pepper sprayed. But like the mouth shape on the model, it's really cool. It's really good. I like it. I like the art, right? It's cool, and like I can't even exactly explain what it is that makes it like nice, but I like it. I just like the way that it looks. I can't exactly elaborate on it, but I do that all the time. Walk up to people and tell them you like the way they're shaped. It's called Riz. Well, I was watching Noomi, so we all know I don't have any of that. Anyway. Anyway, not to dunk on people who I don't even actually know, but it's all in good fun. It's all jokes. It's all good. Oh, man. Gonna be weird getting back into this. Got a kind of a light schedule this week because I wanted to ease my way back into doing these streaming live because I've been working on... I want to try and focus a little bit more of my energy on doing offline stuff. I love streaming. I love streaming maybe more than I ought to if I want to do this full-time eventually one day. Because if I want to eventually do this full-time, I need to draw in more audience, and the way to do that is not by streaming, but by uploading content on other platforms like YouTube and TikTok and all of that stuff. Clipped what? What did you clip? Wait. No. Anyway. Let's not worry about that. Point is, I'm gonna try and work this week on doing both online stuff and offline stuff. I especially want to work on the Build Your Oshi thing because I want to try and get that video ready to publish around the new year. I don't think it's going to be done by the new year, but I want it to be ready like I want it to be ready to go around the new year. Like if we get to like January 15th and it's not uploaded yet, I that's not good. I don't want that. I want it to be ready and good to go. I think that's a good. The 15th at the latest is probably a good thing. Also, ow. Right in my inner thigh meat. Right in his lap. You shot him right in the lap. So like his upper thigh area. Yes, in his lap. Ah. Brother, why? Why are you throwing things at me? This isn't fair. What did I do to deserve this? Happy birthday! Thanks. That's next week, actually. I mean, I didn't say that. Huh? What? Anyway, let's say we get to the meat of the stream for today. Very excited to get back into Fate's Day Night. Let's move over here. Ember, you can't play the game. You don't have thumbs. Thank you. There you are, flashbang. Oh, and also a quick note, we are still sponsored by Zenless Zone Zero until next week. When 1.4 drops. So if you want to get in the game ahead of that, use my code !ZZZ in chat. It's exciting. It's like a big 1.4 is like the big finale, like to the main storyline that we've been doing so far. So if you want to get in ahead of that and scrounge up pulls for Miyabi because she's going to be overpowered to hell, the literal Fox Virgil, go do that. Colin, if you were a Hololive fan, I'd try and drag it around one at some point in the next month. Oh yeah, I heard about that. They have a collab going on with like the little plushies in the Crane games. I went to a round one when, at WeebCon down in Grapevine, Texas. It's the first time I'd ever been to a round one. It was a good time. I should have bowled. I'm good at bowling. Won't say anything. Won't say anything about what? I'm suspicious. May have oh. Gilgamesh is already on it. Alright, like I said, when last we left off, we were in the middle of the chapter. So, last time, all that stuff I said before happened. We were killed by Lancer, resurrected by Rin, attempted murdered by Lancer again, summoned Saber, got lectured by Rin, and now we're at the church about to get lectured by Kyurei. Joy. Oh, I'm also going to, real quick. Clay, welcome in. Thank you for 3 months in a row. That's so epic. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad to be back. I gotta mute all of the stuff. It's a reading stream. Reading on stream. Can't be making noise. No silence in the library. There. Pin that. Thank you, man. Alright, everybody, welcome to church. Now get on your knees. Do what you will with that. Okay, alright. Focus. Zen. Scene. The chapel is large and majestic. It must see many visitors during the day, based on the number of pews in the chapel. The priest must have an incredible authority if he's responsible for a church such as grand as this one. Tosaka, what kind of man is the priest here? It's kind of hard to explain. I've known him for over a decade now, but I still can't figure him out. Known him for over a decade? That's a long time to know someone. Are you two related or something? No, but he's my guardian. On top of that, as a disciple, he's my senior, and my second mentor. A senior disciple? As a mage? Yeah? Why is that such a surprise? He's a priest, right? Aren't priests forbidden from using magecraft? Mages and churches have never mixed well. Mages belong to a large organization called the Mages Association. But there's also a hidden group operating in the shadow of the most widespread religion. Not one normal people would ever hear about, or want to get involved with, known as the Holy Church. The two have nothing in common. They may have a sort of surface alliance, but they're constantly trying to kill each other, given half a chance. The Church loathes heretics. They are out to eliminate anything inhuman in the world, including users of magecraft. In the Church's eyes, only saints are permitted to perform miracles. All other human miracles are heresy. There are no exceptions, even for those within the Church. The higher the position one is in within the Church, the more they are forbidden from the impurity of magecraft. It goes without saying that the more blessings someone receives from God, especially someone who is in charge of a church like this, the further the distance they should take from magecraft. Actually, I didn't know the priest here was on our side. Yep, he's the one supervising the Holy Grail War, so he's definitely an agent. Well, whether he's ever actually received any blessings from God is an open question. Tosaka's footsteps echo as she walks toward the altar. I'm not sure whether you're supposed to be walking around here without a priest, but it is pretty late. The priest wouldn't be in the chapel at this hour. I guess he'd be in his private room out back. Huh. So, what's the priest's name? I think you said Kotomine or something earlier. His name is Kirei Kotomine. He's my father's disciple, and unfortunately, I've known him for over 10 years. If I had any choice, I'd rather not have ever met him. I assure you the feeling is mutual. I never wish for a pupil who refuses to respect her mentor. Tap, tap. I hear footsteps. A man slowly emerges from the far side of the altar. He must have noticed when we entered the chapel. I've been calling you, Rin, but you haven't answered. Now you bring me a strange guest. So he's the seventh Rin. Right, he's a mage, apparently, but he's a complete amateur. It's frustrating as hell. And the rules say to report here when someone becomes a master, right? It's a stupid rule your group made up, but I figured I'd follow it this time. How commendable of you. Well then, I must thank this young man. The priest slowly looks me over. I unconsciously step back. I'm not afraid, and I don't sense any hostility from this priest. But the way he carries himself, he just gives off this indescribable aura of intimidation. My name is Kirei Kotomine, and I have been entrusted to run this church. What is your name, Seventh Master? It's Shiro Emiya, but I don't remember signing up to be a master. I brace myself, glaring at the priest so as not to buckle under that intimidating presence. Shiro Emiya. That intimidating aura grows chilly. The priest smiles, as if pleased. That smile of his. I can't explain it, but it makes me... I must thank you, Emiya. You have brought Rin here. If it wasn't for you, she would have never set foot in this church. The priest makes his way to the altar. Tosaka, on the other hand, just looks bored as she moves away from the altar and comes to stand next to me. Then let us begin. Shiro Emiya, you are Saber's master, correct? That's not entirely true. I did form a contract with Saber, but I have no idea what the hell Masters and Holy Grail Wars are. If proper mages are the only ones who could be masters, then you should pick a different master. I see. This is a pity. Does he really know nothing, Rin? I told you, he's a complete novice. You'll need to teach him from the ground up. You're good at pushing people like that, aren't you? Tosaka practically pawns me off on the priest, still looking bored. Oh, I see. So that's your plan. Very well. This is the first time you have depended on me for anything. It seems I cannot thank Shiro Emiya enough for bringing me this opportunity. The more I hear them talk, the more uneasy I get. Excuse me. First, let me address some of your misconceptions. Listen to me, Shiro Emiya. The role of a master isn't something you can simply pass on to something else. Nor is it something that, after you have been chosen, you can simply quit. Once command spells are engraved on one's hand, there is no means by which they can resign from being a master, regardless of who they might be. I can't quit? Why not? Command spells are sacred marks. They're a trial placed upon masters. You can't simply forfeit because it's inconvenient. You will not be released from its pain unless the Holy Grail is obtained. If you want to resign from being a master, the only thing you can do is obtain the Holy Grail and have your wish granted. Do this, and everything can go back to normal for you, Shiro Emiya. Anything you desire, even ridding yourself of the impure mud within you, is possible. Why, even starting over entirely is possible. And so, you should desire it. Should the time come, you will be grateful for your luck in being chosen as a master. If you wish to be rid of those unseen burn scars you have, you simply have to accept that sacred mark. What? I feel faint. The priest's words don't make any sense. The more I listen, the more I'm confused. Yet his words permeate in my mind, staining me like blood. Kirei, don't be so obtuse. I just asked you to explain the rules to him. I never asked you to open up old wounds. Her voice interrupts the priest's words. Tosaka? My confused mind snaps back. I believed nothing else would sink in for something like him. So I thought I would at least break down his morality while he was still confused. Well, I suppose kindness isn't always entirely for the benefit of the recipient. I must admit, I did enjoy that quite a lot. Sadistic priest. What? Is helping him do you any good? Of course. Helping people means saving yourself in the end. I suppose there's not much sense in me lecturing you about that, though. Let me return to the matter at hand, Shiro Emiya. You find yourself involved in what is known as the Holy Grail War. It is a battle waged using 7 servants, commanded by 7 masters. I hope Rin would have at least told you that. Yeah, she did. She told me about the whole ridiculous thing where 7 masters participate in a battle to the death. Correct. But we are not indulging in such cruelty for entertainment. It is a ritual to determine who is worthy of obtaining the Holy Grail. For such a powerful item as that, rigorous trials must be conducted to determine who should possess it. The hell with trials. I bet this priest doesn't think of the Holy Grail War as a trial at all. Wait, you keep saying Holy Grail. What even is that? You don't mean the actual Holy Grail, right? The Holy Grail, a goblet said to have received the blood of a saint. It is considered to be one of the greatest sacred relics of all time, and it is said to perform a variety of miracles. One of the most widely held beliefs is that whoever holds the Holy Grail can possess the entire world. But that seems kind of unlikely, since the Holy Grail itself probably doesn't even exist. Stories of a Holy Grail that can grant any wish appear in numerous myths and legends around the world. But that's about it. A mythical power that none claim has ever actually existed or been replicated. That is the Holy Grail. So what is it, Kirei Kotomine? Is the Holy Grail you speak of really the Holy Grail? Of course it is. The Holy Grail that appears in this town is real. If you want proof, the appearance of the servants themselves is a miracle, isn't it? Summoning heroic spirits from the past and utilizing them. It is a miracle close enough to the resurrection of the dead that it could be considered magic. A Holy Grail of such power must in turn grant its owner limitless power. When considering the truth of how powerful it is, its authenticity hardly matters. So what he's saying is that as long as the object possesses power that surpasses the real thing, it doesn't matter whether it's real or fake. Fine. Let's assume it's really a Holy Grail. Then why would something like the Holy Grail War need to happen? If the Holy Grail exists, we shouldn't be killing each other over it. Something so amazing should be shared. A reasonable opinion. However, not an option we have the luxury of. Only one can obtain the Holy Grail. We cannot ourselves choose who. That is for the Grail to decide. The selection of the 7 masters and the summoning of 7 servants are all determined by the Holy Grail itself. I mentioned that this was a ritual. The Holy Grail selects those who are worthy of possessing it, and then each against the other to select the sole bearer. That is what a Holy Grail War is. A sort of necromantic ritual where those chosen by the Holy Grail fight to the death to obtain it. He's so matter-of-fact about it all. I have no response, so I just stare at my left hand. There's an inscription on my hand, a mark these two call a command spell. As long as I have this mark, I'm told I can't quit being a master. That still doesn't make sense. Just because only one person can be selected, there's no reason for all the other masters to die. Wait a minute. You don't actually have to kill them, Emiya. The ritual doesn't require you to kill the masters. Huh? But you said it's a battle to the death. Even Kotomine said that. You do kill each other. Kirei, shush. Okay, so the Holy Grail here is in spirit form. It's not tangible as an object. It needs to be summoned in a special ritual, kind of like a seance. Summoning it can be done just by us mages, but as long as it's in spirit form, we can't touch it. Do you understand what that means? I do. Only spirit forms can touch other spirit forms. Oh, so that's why you need servants. Exactly. To put it in simple terms, the goal in the Holy Grail War is for you to eliminate all the servants other than your own. There's no rule that you have to kill the masters. Why didn't they tell me that earlier? Honestly, Tosaka and that priest both are pretty wicked. But that's a relief. It means Tosaka won't have to die, even if I do join the Holy Grail War. I suppose that is one way to look about it. Then let me ask you, Shiro Emiya, do you think you can beat your own servant? Defeat Saber? Of course not. Besides, magecraft is useless against her. She's insanely strong with her sword. Then one more question for you, though it may be a trifling one. Do you think yourself superior to your servant? What? Why the hell is he asking this? I can't beat Saber, so there's no way I'm better than her. Beat Saber mentioned? I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. My answer to both those questions is that I'm weaker than my servant. Now you get it. Servants have enough trouble defeating other servants, so what could you do? It's simple, really. A servant cannot exist without their master. No matter how powerful the servant, they will disappear once the master is killed. Which means... Now I get it. Nobody would make things harder for themselves. If someone wanted to make sure they won, killing the master would be the much easier path. Yeah, I get it now. It's easier to defeat the master than the servant. Let me ask you this then. If the servant is defeated first, is their master no longer a master? If servants are the only ones who can touch the Holy Grail, then a master who lost their servant becomes obsolete, right? No. As long as the command spell remains, they still have the right to remain a master. A master is simply a mage who can make a contract with a servant. As long as they have a command spell, they can form contracts with as many servants as they want. A servant who loses their master does not disappear immediately. They can remain in this world until they run out of magical energy. Servants who lose their masters and masters who lose their servant can forge a new contract together and return to the battle. And you would know all about that, wouldn't you? But that's long-term spoilers. Which is why masters seek to kill other masters. Allowing others to live may pose a greater risk later on. Then what if you use up your command spells? That means you can't form another contract with another servant, and the servant who gets freed will pair up with another master? Wait, that's... You are correct. If you use up all your command spells, you will be freed from your duties as master. Although, it's hard to believe any mage would waste their command spells, since each can perform extremely powerful magecraft. And were there to be such a master, they would be a fool as well as a coward. The priest laughs, as if he can see right through me. This is starting to get to me. The priest's tone is provoking. Do you understand now? Then here endeth the lesson. Now, let us return to where we began, Shiro Emiya. You mentioned that you had no intention of becoming a master. Do you still feel that way? If you want to forfeit your position as a master, that is fine too. As you have just pointed out, you can use up your command spells to terminate your contract with Saber. Should you do so, I will guarantee your safety until the Holy Grail War ends. What? Hold on a minute. Why the hell would I need you to guarantee my safety? I can protect myself. I honestly do not have time to look after you, but those are the rules. I have been assigned to oversee this repeating Holy Grail War. Thus, I must ensure the sacrifices made during the Holy Grail War be kept to a minimum. Protecting the safety of mages who are no longer masters is one of my most important responsibilities as the Overseer. Did you say repeating Holy Grail War? Hold on a minute. It repeats? Does that mean a battle like this happened before? What the hell do you mean? Are you saying this isn't the first Holy Grail War? Of course not. Do you think an Overseer would have been dispatched were this the first time? This church is a special agency responsible for collecting relics. Our organization's original goal is to investigate and recover the true cross. But here, our duty is to assess the Holy Grail. Our job is to investigate the 726th Holy Grail that was detected in the Far East, and recover it if it is indeed real. And if it is not real, we will repudiate it. 726? Are there really that many Holy Grails? Who knows? At the very least, it means there are that many objects thought to be Holy Grails. And one of those is the Holy Grail observed in this town, which triggered a Holy Grail War. According to extant records, the first battle occurred about 200 years ago. Since then, masters have fought over it every 50 years or so. This will be the 5th Holy Grail War. The last one happened about 10 years ago, so this is the shortest cycle yet. Are you all insane? You guys have done this thing 4 times already? I quite agree. As you pointed out, this has been repeated many times. That's right. In the past, the repeated Holy Grail Wars have been exceedingly fierce. Masters were driven by their own desires as they killed each other indiscriminately, forgetting their disciplines as mages. You may already know this, but the biggest sin to commit as a mage is practicing magecraft within normal society. Mages must never reveal their identities to others. But the masters of the past broke that law. The Mages Association finally dispatched an overseer to crack down on masters like them. But that system was only put in place by the time of the 3rd Holy Grail War, and that first overseer was my father. Does that make sense now, my boy? Yeah, I get that an overseer is needed. But based on what you just said, this Holy Grail War is fundamentally a bad thing, right? Oh, in what way is it fundamentally bad? The previous masters willingly broke the laws of mages, right? Then let's say the Holy Grail is real. What if whoever survives and wins is selfish and uses the Holy Grail for their own selfish purposes? Wouldn't it be pretty bad if the Holy Grail went to someone who has no problem killing people? If the Association's job is to supervise mages, shouldn't you be the one punishing those types of folks? I'm hoping to finally confuse him with this question. But as I figured, Kotomine just laughs condescendingly. Of course not. All mages are motivated by their self-interests. I am only responsible for managing the rules of the Holy Grail War. I do not care what happens afterwards. The Association does not intervene, no matter what sort of person obtains the Holy Grail. But that's absurd. What happens if the Holy Grail is obtained by a master who's absolutely the worst? That would be bad, but it is out of our control. The Holy Grail is the one that chooses its owner, and we do not have the power to stop a master who has been chosen by the Holy Grail. You see, it is a chalice capable of granting any desire. Whoever obtains it will be able to do as they please, I'm sure. So if that idea troubles you, then your path is clear. Survive and win. Doing this yourself would be the approach most certain to work, as opposed to relying on others, correct? Kotomine is clearly trying to suppress his laughter. It's like he's enjoying watching my awkward resistance to becoming a master. What's wrong, my boy? I thought that was a rather good idea. Care to accept it? It's none of your business. First of all, I have no reason to fight. I'm not interested in the Holy Grail, nor do I feel like a master, even if you tell me otherwise. Oh. So do you not care what the winner of the Holy Grail does with it, even if it may lead to a great catastrophe? Well, that... I can't argue. Damn, this guy is just so hard to deal with. He doesn't care about my feelings, and he's relentless with the information he pushes on me. If you have no reason to fight, that is fine too. That must mean you do not care about what happened 10 years ago. 10 years ago? That's right. Towards the end of the previous Holy Grail War, an unworthy master touched the Holy Grail. I do not know what that master desired. All we know is the disaster that followed. For a second, the image of that hell flashes before my eyes. Wait. Don't tell me that. That's right. It is the catastrophe everyone in this town knows very well. 500 people were killed or wounded. 134 buildings burned to the ground. That fire, which is still unexplained to this day, was a consequence of the Holy Grail War. I feel sick. My vision blurs. I lose my focus and I can't concentrate. My legs are about to buckle. Before that can happen, I plant my feet. I grit my teeth to maintain my composure. Raw, seething anger is the only thing holding my nausea at bay. Emiya? What's wrong? You're white as a sheet. I know that wasn't a pleasant topic to bring up, but come on, why don't you rest a bit? I must have really looked pale. I know it's rare for someone like Tosaka to be concerned about the likes of me. Don't worry. I feel better after seeing you looking at me so weird. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Exactly what I said, so don't worry about it. I guess that's okay. Hey, that's even worse, you blockhead! The school's honor student, Rin Tosaka, smacks me upside the head. And just like that, my nausea and anger disappear. Don't worry about that. Thanks. You really did me a favor, so don't beat me up too much, Tosaka. There's still a few things I have to ask. Something in her expression suggests she thinks she hasn't hit me enough, but she lets me continue anyway. Oh, you still have questions? By all means, out with it. I'm sure he knows exactly what I want to ask, but he urges me on anyway. Fine by me. I'm not letting him get the better of me. Let me ask you this. You said that this is the 5th Holy Grail War. So has anyone ever obtained the Holy Grail? Of course. Not every war ends with everyone dead. Then, don't jump to conclusions. Obtaining it is the easy part. After all, this church actually manages and is in possession of the Holy Grail. If you're wondering whether someone has touched it, I'll let you know I touch it every day. Are we gonna let him? Are we gonna let him get away with that one? He touches his Holy Grail every day. Hello? And anyway, anyway. What? The Holy Grail is here in the church? Well, it's just a vessel. It's quite empty. As Rin said earlier, the Holy Grail is in spirit form. The church is safekeeping a well-made replica of the Holy Grail. We use it as the catalyst to draw the real Holy Grail out and create the wish-granting device it becomes. I suppose it is similar to a master and servant relationship. And yes, there was indeed a man who obtained the Holy Grail, which temporarily turned real. So the Holy Grail was real. Okay, what happened to that guy who obtained it? Nothing. The Holy Grail never reached its complete form, because a foolish man let his sentiments get the better of him. What? I don't know what happened to his overbearing attitude from just a moment before, but the priest suddenly looks, of all things, regretful. What do you mean? Didn't the Holy Grail appear? Manifesting the Holy Grail is easy. 7 servants appear, and then, sometime later, the Holy Grail does as well. As Rin pointed out, there's no real need to kill other masters. But that's not enough to complete a Holy Grail. The Grail selects a worthy owner. For that reason, a man who had avoided the battle was unable to obtain the Holy Grail. It just means it's useless to obtain the Holy Grail without settling things with the other masters. The master who first got their hands on the Holy Grail during the last war was just a wuss. They didn't want to fight the other masters and just ran away from the Holy Grail. Tosaka almost spits the words. then goes back to averting her eyes from Kotomine. You're kidding. Does that mean Kotomine was one of the masters from the previous war? And even though he obtained the Holy Grail, he dropped out because he refused to fight? Kotomine, you didn't fight? I did. Halfway. But I made a bad decision. Consequently, I only obtained an empty Holy Grail. I suppose that must have been my limit anyway. The rest of the masters were all monstrously strong. Terrifying, even. I immediately lost my servant, and I was taken under my father's protection. Alright, we got ads starting any second here, so we'll take a short break. Everybody stand up, stretch, grab a snack or a drink. Whet your whistle. If anybody has to go to the bathroom and doesn't want to miss anything, now's the time. Listen to that organ. Listen to my spine cracking. I'm old, chat. I'm so old. You're as old as your mind allows you to be. I like that. I'm no hag. Not yet. Or whatever the male equivalent to a hag is. I like geezer, but other people just stick with hag. I think geezer is funny to say. We're not geezers, we just know who Tom Hanks is, so what? Do kids these days not know who Tom Hanks is? Huh? Although I can't think of anything he's been in recently, but I'm not exactly a movie buff. I mean, how many you work with does not know who Tom Hanks is? That's terrible. He's a great actor. I like him a lot. Very, very iconic voice. The voice of Woody from Toy Story, which was my, like, that was my movie when I was a kid. I watched that shit on loop every day as a baby. That was my favorite movie. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. Alright. Toy Story scared me? That, I can kind of see that. With the It was the first ever feature-length 3D animated film ever. Like, in all of animation. It's the first 3D animated feature-length film. And it's a good thing it was about toys, because otherwise the CG would have aged incredibly poorly. Because everybody looks like plastic. Aladdin and the Lion King, also classics. God, that was such a good era of Disney. The like late 90s to early 2000s. Those were some good Disney movies. Anyway, ads over. Back to the story. Not the Toy Story, the Fate story. In retrospect, the son of the overseer shouldn't have become a master in the first place. It led to my father's death. After that, I assumed his role as overseer, and have been protecting the Holy Grail at this church. Kotomine turns his back to me as he speaks. There's reverence in his voice, and I see the devotion in his eyes before he turns. We have nothing further to discuss. Those qualified to obtain the Holy Grail are masters who have servants. The moment there is only one of the 7 of you left standing, the Holy Grail shall manifest before you. So tell me, will you join this Holy Grail war? The priest looks straight down at me, demanding my final decision. I'm at a loss for words. Earlier, I had no reason to fight. Now, I have a reason and the will to fight. But can I truly say as much? Are you still unsure? Listen, you do not become a master just by saying it's what you want. Reen has been training as a mage for many years, but that never meant she was guaranteed to be a master. The only thing you can decide beforehand is whether to prepare yourself to be a master or not. Only mages can be selected to be masters. If you are a mage, you should have already been prepared. However, if you are still lacking resolve, there is nothing to be done. But that makes both you and your mentor failures. A mage like you would only be a nuisance in battle, so you might as well get rid of your command spells right here, right now. He doesn't need to ask anything else. I fight. I'm not going to run away. To be honest, all this Holy Grail War and Master stuff doesn't feel real to me. But if my only choices are to fight or run, I'll never run away. Even the priests told me that I should be prepared if I'm a mage. That's why I need to decide. Shiro Emiya is a mage, even if not yet a full-fledged one. I've always admired Kiritsugu Emiya, and I decided to follow in his footsteps, to be a champion of justice, so I need to. I will fight as a master. If you're telling me that the cause of the fire 10 years ago was the Holy Grail War, then I can't let something like that happen again. The priest gives me a satisfied smile, as if he likes my answer. I take a deep breath. I'm done wavering. A man has said he's going to fight. The only thing to do from now on is to move forward, head held high, so I can live up to that. Then I shall acknowledge you as Saber's master. And as of this moment, the Holy Grail War has been accepted. From here on, until only one master remains, magecraft battles are permitted. Each participant shall put their full efforts into the competition, in accordance with their own principles. The priest's voice echoes heavily through the chapel. The declaration is utterly meaningless. Only Tosaka and I are here to hear it anyway. He just rang a metaphorical bell to kick things off as a formality, I guess. Then that's that. But before I go home, care to answer a question, Kide? I don't mind. This may be the final one, so I shall try to answer as much as I can. Then no holds barred. Since you're the overseer, you probably have information on all the other masters. I'm following the association's rules, so you should be able to disclose that to me. Well, I'm not sure what to do. I really do want to tell you, but I actually do not know the details. What I do know is that there aren't many legitimate mages this time around, as is the case with Shiro Emiya. I only know 2 masters, or rather, with the inclusion of Shiro Emiya, I know 3. Is that so? But you at least know the order the servants were summoned in. You are the overseer. Well, the first was Berserker, the second was Caster. There was not much difference after that. Archer was summoned a few days back, while Saber was summoned a few hours ago. I see. And that means... It means the Holy Grail War has officially started. Rin, until the Holy Grail War concludes, you are not permitted to set foot in this church. The only time you will be allowed would be... if I lost my servant and asked for sanctuary, right? Otherwise, we'll get penalized if we seek your help. Correct. You are likely to win, but the church would not simply ignore any marks against you. They will not hesitate to take the Holy Grail from you for whatever asinine reason. That would be the worst possible outcome for me. You're such a freaking fraud of a priest. A man from the church siding with the Mages Association. I simply serve God. I do not serve the church. Listen to you. This is why you're a fraud. Tosaka turns her back on the priest. Without saying goodbye, she makes her way toward the exit. Hey, is that okay to do, Tosaka? Isn't he your senior? Shouldn't she have a little more to say than that? It's fine. I'm actually relieved that I can sever ties with him once and for all. You should get out of here too. You don't have any more business here. Tosaka cuts through the chapel without stopping, and leaves the church. I sigh, and follow Tosaka. But then... I sense something and turn around. I don't know when he caught up, but the priest is right behind me, looking down at me. What? You got something else to say to me? I'm talking big, but I take a step back. This priest scares the hell out of me. I don't know what it is. Maybe he just rubs me the wrong way. Whatever it is, I can't make myself like him. I'm going home if you've got nothing. I head to the exit, trying to escape his stare. But at that moment... He said the thing! He said Yorokobe! Yeah! Rejoice, my boy. Your wish will finally come true. priest speaks like he's some kind of divine oracle. Those words, aren't they a reflection of my true feelings? Shiro Emiya's true intentions that even I wasn't aware of? What are you saying? I am sure you know already. Without an evil to fight, your wish will never be granted. Even if you don't want to admit it, a hero of justice requires a villain to defeat. Everything around me seems to go dark. The priest says, Shiro Emiya's greatest wish and his ugliest wish are two sides of the same coin. That's right. My wish to protect something means that I'm also wishing for something to protect people from. Why, you... But I would never wish for something like that. I don't even remember desiring that. A wish so unstable. It just means that what I'm aspiring to is contradictory. Yet the priest brings it up, as if to say, good thing you have an enemy now. You needn't sugarcoat it. Your conflict is only natural for a human being. I try to shake off the priest's words and head outside. Farewell, Shiro Emiya. This will be my final warning. Be careful on your way home. The world as you know it is about to change. You will kill or be killed, for you are a master now. Ugh. Oh, I didn't like that. Those creaky door hinges sent chills down my spine. As soon as I leave, the weight on my shoulders seems to lift. It might be because I'm away from the priest. But it might also be because I see Tosaka, conspicuous in her uniform. And the blonde girl in a raincoat. The slightly mismatched sight of those two standing together relieves whatever pressure I felt. Saber is still silent. She looks at me and seems to want to know what I decided. Let's go. We're going in the same direction until we reach town. Tosaka starts walking, her pace brisk. Saber and I follow suit, and the three of us leave the church grounds. We walk down the hill. We hadn't talked much on the way here, but there's even less conversation on the way back. Even someone as dull as me knows why. After our visit to the church, I accepted my position as a master. That must be why Tosaka is keeping her distance. I get it. But I don't like the idea of seeing Tosaka in that light. Tosaka, how's your servant? Oh, if you're wondering, Archer's fine. The injury he sustained from Saber won't be easy to heal, so he won't materialize for a while, though. Does that mean he isn't by your side? Nope. He's cooped up in my house. He'd be at a disadvantage if he was ambushed by other servants, so I'm having him prepare to fight by recuperating somewhere safe. I see. Unlike my house, I'm sure Tosaka's house is well fortified against enemies. A mage's home is like a fortress. There's not much chance of defeating them there. Which means enemies tend not to try in attacking them at home. The bounded field around our house just notifies us of intruders, but even having that makes a big difference. By the way, Tosaka, the priest mentioned that he was the overseer of the Holy Grail War. Does that mean he knows who your servant is? He should know. He shouldn't know. I've never told him. I see. You guys seem to get along, so I thought you had. Amiya, I'm going to give you a little advice. Never tell anybody your servant's identity, no matter how much you trust the other person. You should keep quiet. Otherwise, you'll end up dropping out early. Huh? What do you mean, Saber's identity? I'm talking about which hero your servant is. No matter how strong they are, revealing their strength to others will just lead to a knife in the back. Just ask Saber her true name later. You'll understand when you learn about her. Actually, it might be better if she doesn't tell you, because you're... you know. Why not? You can't keep secrets. You might have the best chance at keeping the secret if you just don't know. Who do you think I am? I can at least follow a strategy like that. Are you sure? Does that mean there's something you're hiding from me? Something I'm hiding from you? Well... I feel a hot blush in my cheeks as she looks at me. I shouldn't feel guilty, but I wonder if secretly idolizing her even counts in this context. See? I don't know what it is, but your face tells me you're hiding something, and that's why you're not fit for this. There's plenty of other good things about you, so stop thinking of silly tactics like these. Uh-huh. Then what about you? If you're mum about your servant even to that priest, does that mean you don't trust him? Kire? Of course not. I'm not naive enough to trust him. He's a big hypocrite who switched sides from the church to the Mages Association, yet he still has a seat at the church. He'd spill it to the other masters the second he felt like it. Tosaka huffs, obviously annoyed. I guess Tosaka really doesn't trust that priest. I'm a little relieved, but at the same time, her tone of voice also conveys a sort of closeness with the priest. We cross the bridge. There's nothing else to talk about. Our frosty white breath hangs in the winter air. The faint sound of flowing water bubbles up from beneath the bridge where we walk in the streetlight's illumination. All of those small details etch themselves onto my memory. Oddly, I don't think to look at Tosaka's face. It feels like more of a rarity to be walking beside her like this than it does to see her face. Me, Tosaka, and the girl called Saber, about whom I know nothing. The three of us, without doing anything in particular, walk back to our homes. We reach the intersection. It is where we will have to separate, as our homes are in opposite directions. We should split up here. I've done my duty, and things would get complicated if we stuck together any longer. We should part ways amicably, and tomorrow we'll become enemies. I think she's trying to bring closure to our ambiguous relationship. Tosaka starts talking, but suddenly cuts off. Then I realize something. She didn't explain the rules to me out of obligation. She was only trying to help me, as I knew absolutely nothing to make things fair for me. And that's why, the moment things have been explained, everything goes back to normal. All that's left for us is to fight each other as masters. But that would make her last words to me strange. Tosaka must have meant it would be hard to fight if she feels empathy for me. For Tosaka, everything that happened tonight was unnecessary. Things would get complicated if we stuck together any longer. If that's how she feels, she shouldn't have gotten involved with me to begin with. She's smart enough to know that. But she helped me, even knowing it wouldn't benefit her in any way. That's how I know she had no ulterior motive for doing what she did tonight. She did it purely out of the kindness of her heart. Tosaka is totally different now than she usually is at school. She's harsh and unfriendly at school, and that's putting it mildly. But seeing her right now, I want to ask why the hell she acts the way she does at school. Honestly, the difference is on the level of fraud. But either way, Green Tosaka is also exactly what everyone thinks she is. You know, you're a good person, Tosaka. Huh? Where'd that come from? Your flattery won't make me go easy on you. I know that. She had to tell me it would be a pain to be empathetic because she isn't going to go easy on me. I know, but I would rather not be enemies with you because I like people like you. I heard Tosaka's house is in the residential district with all the western houses, in the opposite direction of my house. She took care of me up until now, so I'd like to walk her home. Anyway, don't forget to run to that church the moment your servant is killed. You'll at least live if you do that. I'm not sure about that, but I'll still take your advice. Anyway, I don't think that'll happen, since I'm likely to die before Saber. I've calmly assessed the situation. Tosaka's reaction is once again puzzling. After that weary sigh, she glances at Saber. Fine, I won't warn you anymore. At this point, it would really just be an act of empathy. Just be careful. Saber may be strong, but it's all over if you, the master, wind up dead. She turns around and starts walking. And yet, she stops dead in her tracks, as if she's seen a ghost. The moment I call out to her, a stinging pain shoots through my left hand. Are you two done chatting? A young voice echoes in the night. The sing-song tone comes unmistakably from a young girl. My eyes are drawn to the top of the hill. I hadn't noticed the clouds parting. Now the brilliant moon illuminates the sky. And there, a shadow looms. It's a strange shape that seems out of place in the darkened town. Berserker. I'm not familiar with the word Tosaka whispers. I don't even need to ask. It's definitely a servant. It gives off an overwhelming aura of death that surpasses even the fire from 10 years ago. Good evening, brother. This is the second time we've met. The girl smiles. Her innocence sends a chill up my spine. No, the chill goes deeper than that. It's not just my body, even my mind freezes. That thing is a monster. I'm not even looking into its eyes, but its intimidating presence paralyzes me. My instincts tell me I'm dead the instant I move. It feels like someone is pressing a knife against my exposed stomach. Crap. He's definitely in a different league. While all I manage to do is stand there paralyzed, Tosaka is composed enough to brace herself. Even that seems futile. I can only see her back, but I still sense her despair. Huh? Oh, your servant's resting. That's no fun. I thought I would get rid of two at once. The young girl seems displeased as she stands at the top of the hill looking down on us. This is even worse. That girl knows that Tosaka's servant is not here. And then the girl bows gracefully, which seems wildly out of place given the current mood. Very nice to meet you, Reem. My name is Ilya. Perhaps you might recognize the name Iliasville von Einsburn better. Einsburn. Tosaka trembles lightly, seeming to recognize the name. The girl smiles, seemingly delighted by Tosaka's reaction. Then here we go. Kill them, Berserker! In a sing-song voice, the girl orders the monstrosity behind her. The giant jumps. In a single leap, this berserker sails all the way from the top of the hill to its bottom, where we stand. Shiro, get back! Saber surges forward. Her raincoat flutters off her shoulders, blocking my view for a moment. Yeah, this music fucking slaps. Saber runs towards where Berserker is about to land. Berserker lands, kicking up a small torrent of air in his wake. The two meet almost simultaneously. The very air shakes. Saber stops Berserker's rock-like sword with her invisible sword. Saber's mouth twists as she strains. And then, Berserker's giant sword moves in a flash, creating a whirlwind. Thunder. The clash of swords, almost tearing the air, ends in Saber's defeat. I hear something skidding. Saber blocks Berserker's giant sword with her own, but the impact pushes her backwards. Saber buckles. The copper-skinned servant follows her. The monster swings its giant sword again and again, as if it knows how to do nothing else. Saber continues to block it with her sword, unable to dodge the strikes. Saber's sword being invisible doesn't matter. She needs to put all her strength into blocking his attacks, or she's dead for sure. Saber's left with no choice but to remain on the defensive. The only chance Saber has of winning is to find an opportunity to strike between Berserker's attacks. And yet, that's only if Berserker leaves her an opening. His massive black rock sword moves like a raging storm. He is enormous. Despite his size and unwieldy weapon, Berserker is faster than Saber. His unrelenting attacks just smash whatever is in his way. That's all. But it's enough to be effective. As long as he retains his overwhelming speed and power, he doesn't really need technique. Humans devise technique to compensate for their own weakness. That giant, that monster, he has no weaknesses. Like sheer heart attack. Run! It's the only thing I can manage to say. My body is completely frozen. That thing cannot be beaten. Saber is going to die. That's why she needs to run. It'd be easy if it was just her that needed to flee. Of course, she knows that perfectly well. Oh. That's not good. My body may be paralyzed, but my mind is still working. The raging storm of death simply won't let up. Saber retreats, unable to block it all. And then, the final unblockable blow comes. Saber hangs in the air. Twisting her body impossibly, Saber manages to defend against Berserker's titanic swing. It's all she can do to defend herself from the fatal blow. But because she can't completely brace against the giant's tremendous swing, his attack sends her flying. After sailing in a wide arc, she falls to the ground. Just before her back hits the ground, Saber turns in midair and lands on her feet. She's like a cat. She manages to compose herself. The crimson blood stains her chest. I'm such an idiot. I've completely forgotten something crucial. I don't know how many times servants can fight in a day, but this is Saber's third battle. On top of that, Saber still hasn't healed from the wound Lancer inflicted on her chest earlier. Saber shifts her guard to protect her chest. Berserker moves in like a violent wind, striking at Saber while she's hampered by her wound. His blows rain down on her back. I don't know what kind of magecraft Tosaka used, but something burst against Berserker's body. From the amount of magical energy I can feel, the impact must have been equivalent to a large caliber pistol. Even that is meaningless. It barely even scratches him. He isn't nullifying magical energy like what Saber does. The attack just doesn't affect him. What? This guy is ridiculously durable. Despite that, Tosaka continues to cast her spell. Berserker just ignores Tosaka's spells and charges at Saber. Saber painfully lifts her head. She readies her sword, intent on continuing the fight. The sight of her in so much pain gets me moving again. No! Run, Saber! I yell with all my might. She hears me. But she braces herself to confront an enemy she can't possibly compete with. Berserker's attacks are relentless. Saber weakens with every block. The end slowly creeps up on her. Where in all that small frame of hers does such power come from? Saber doesn't retreat. She endures the great sword's furious attacks, and tries to push Berserker back with sheer vigor. She has no chance of winning. Even though she knows her demise is inevitable, she holds her ground adamantly. Maybe it sensed something from her. The monster, silent until now, suddenly roars. Its attacks are impossible to block. Its attacks rain down on her, though her defense is flawless. But one strike finally sends her flying. Slam! It's the sound of something falling in the distance. Fresh blood stains her armor. Her small frame shouldn't be able to rise, and yet... No. She stands up without thinking. Her actions say that she needs to keep going, or else I'll be killed. Her actions. I realize I made a foolish decision. Berserker stops after defeating Saber. It doesn't so much as look at Tosaka or me. It just waits for its master's orders. You can't win. My Berserker is the greatest hero of Greece. What? The greatest hero of Greece? Don't tell me he's... That's right. That demon before you is Heracles. He's the most atrocious monster ever, and he's on a different level than any of the heroes you two could summon and handle. The girl calling herself Ilya narrows her eyes in joy. Her eyes express elation from the anticipation of finishing off her enemies. There is no need to ask who she is expecting to kill. Saber. Then what will I do? Am I going to fight that monster instead? I can't do that. Just getting near that thing without being prepared would be enough to stop my heart. I'm going to. Make the stupid decision that Shiro Emiya always does. I refuse to abandon someone when they're down. That's how I've always lived my life. And most importantly, I can't leave the girl who fought so hard to protect me. Okay, Berserker. She's going to regenerate, so take her out now. Berserker rumbles back into movement. Why, you? I run forward as fast as I can. I can't possibly do anything against that monster. But the least I can do is to get Saber out of the way and save her from Berserker's attack. That didn't work out too well for you, did it there, buddy? I fall. Why? I was going to shove Saber away from Berserker. Then I'd figure out what to do afterward. So why? Why? Why am I on the ground, unable to breathe? I hear surprised voices. First is Saber, who is in front of me now. Then there's Tosaka, standing at a distance, looking aghast. And then, for some reason, a girl calling herself Ilya stares down at me, dumbfounded. There's a gaping, ragged hole in the middle of my body. I'm on the ground. On the asphalt. There's only a little blood, considering how big the wound is. I see some withered, branch-looking things and some shattered stuff, and... man, that looks painful. All those parts scattered around. I get it. How dumb am I? So I didn't make it. I could never have pushed Saber away, so I was just her shield. And then that ungodly huge machete-looking thing took a good chunk out of my stomach. I can't believe I failed at a time like this. I tried my best to be a hero of justice, but I screwed it all up when it really mattered. Why? The silver-haired girl's face is blank as she speaks. After standing there dumbfounded, she just says, I've had enough. This is boring. She calls Berserker back without finishing Saber off. Rin, I'll kill you the next time we meet. The girl leaves. After she disappears, I completely black out. I lose consciousness. I'm really dead this time. I somehow survived when Lancer killed me last time, but my luck's definitely run out. There's no magecraft that could save a person who just lost half his body. What were you thinking? Don't you know I can't save you anymore? I hear a voice reprimanding me. It must be Tosaka. She sounds like she's really mad, and I feel bad. But I had no choice. I'm not good at everything like her. All I have to work with is my body. That's why. The only thing I could do was to risk it all using my own body. We saved the game. Despite what it might seem, we do actually survive to the next day. However, that's going to have to wait until next time. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, isn't that right? Like I said, well, I was going to say last week, but like I said 2 weeks ago, we don't want to go too far into another chapter. We've been going just a little under 2 hours right now. Right, one page at a time. One chapter at a time. One itty bit at a time. If we were to start the next day right now, we'd be going over time. And I can't do that. So instead, we'll be back with more Fate Stay Night next week. I've got a little time to chat. We can round out the hour. So, what do we think? I think Shiro is really stupid and makes very poor decisions, but it's fine, I guess. Also, take a second to unmute all the stuff. There you go. Every story has its hero, I guess. Yeah, that's a pretty accurate statement to make. Yippee! Everybody in the world really likes Shiro. Like, everybody who's read Fate Stay Night really likes Shiro. And some stories have Shiro. Nah, that's fucked up. Now it's fucked up. Everybody who's read Fate Stay Night really likes Shiro. I watched the anime and I remember not liking him very much. I always see him making poor decisions and just kind of not being a very rounded character. But perhaps that is a flaw with the adaptation, and the original work does in fact give you a Shiro worth rooting for. So far, it's looking pretty good. He's a good guy. Not all there upstairs, but he's a good guy. I don't mind too much, but he's very straightforward. Yeah, he's very, and not to say this in a condescending way, but he is very simple. He's very like, here's what I've got, and here's what we're doing. This is what I'm going for. He does not have a plan B, ever. A story that's very convoluted. Yeah, it'll only get more complicated, trust. That's why I ended the previous episode the way that I did. Because I knew that we were in for a long lore dump as soon as we got to the church. And it sure was. That's the thing with visual novels. You get a lot of fluff sometimes. And sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes you need fluff. Sometimes it's good for a story. Makes it feel lived in. Makes it feel like a world that you actually want to exist in. Other times it can feel like just bloat and you really want to get on with stuff. But need a decent balance of both in my personal experience, my personal opinion. I suppose, since I've got another minute here, we can talk a little bit about the schedule for the rest of this week. Tomorrow, I'm going to be live early in the afternoon, playing some more Elden Ring with some more Build Your Oshi. I'm going to try and push as much of that as I can, because I want to get through as many bosses as we can. I want to get to the end of the game with the Cinder build, because that's really the only thing left. We've done all of the stuff leading up to making the build. It's just a matter of finishing the game at this point. And I counted the other day, I think we've got about 14 Remembrance bosses remaining. So, there's a lot of work to be done. Most of which are in the DLC. I think the only ones in the base game that we haven't fought yet are Malekith, Godfrey, Melania, and the Elden Beast. I think that's it. And then in the DLC, it's everyone except for the Divine Beast Dancing Lion and the Renala, or Relana, rather. Those are the only ones that we have done in the DLC so far, so we've got a lot of exploring to do. I'm nervous about fighting Mesmer because we're doing primarily fire damage, and he's gonna absorb a lot of that fire damage. Played a bit more Elden Ring recently. I feel miserable. Yippee! That's the Souls game experience, brother. That's how you do it. Your first time through, you never make it. In my experience, any Souls game I've ever played, from Dark Souls to Bloodborne to Elden Ring, the first character I made, I screwed up big time. I did not know what I was doing. I didn't know how to level my stats. I didn't know what the hell I was up. But it was a learning experience, right? I figured out what I was doing wrong in the first playthrough that made it unsalvageable, and then I went back and I made a new character and I went, okay, here's what I need to do, here's my goal, and from the second playthrough I made it all the way to the end of the game. The second time through, but the first time was when the game came out. Oh, right. Yeah, that's right, you mentioned that. You mentioned that before. Yeah, so you're just shaking off the rust. Hell yeah. Do you have the DLC? Because if you don't, I'd highly recommend it. Speaking of the Elden Ring DLC, on Thursday, we're going to be co-streaming the Game Awards. I don't know, there is a Twitch extension for TGA predictions that you guys are going to be able to use. I don't really know how it works exactly, but it's just going to be me and Kage and maybe Blu-ray, and we're all going to be just kind of chill, hanging out, watching the awards, and commentating over it. So if you guys want to join in, hang out, have a conversation, feel you'd be more than welcome. And then on Saturday, I'll be doing the same thing for the VTuber Awards. And I'll be here doing that with Nozomi Sora, who was here a little while ago for my debut. I think we rated them the other week as well. I don't remember exactly. I don't know. One week goes by and everything disappears. But yeah, we'll be sitting watching the VTuber Awards. I wanted to co-stream the VTuber Awards here on my channel because I know that a lot of you guys don't really watch a lot of VTubers. A lot of you do. A lot of you are in a lot of other chats that I am also in. But a lot of you guys don't really engage with the community beyond this here, me, us. So I wanted to kind of spread that a little bit, show you guys what the upper echelons of the VTubing sphere are up to, and to maybe to celebrate their achievements and to maybe find something to aspire to ourselves. I know I watch a lot of pretty big VTubers, and they're the ones who inspired me to start doing this in the first place. And a lot of the things that they do are the same things that I want to do. They're living my goals, more or less. Because, God, especially with Boss Rush last week when Boss Rush dropped, God, that was the coolest thing ever. I love that stuff because it's so cool to watch somebody make something like that, but it's so cool to have their ideas mesh together so well. Boss Rush is a musical group consisting of Cinder, Tricky, and Vienna, specifically because all of their models are like big, threatening boss, video game final boss vibes. And it's just cool, man. Like, that's exactly up my alley. And I love seeing people do stuff like that because it gives me hope that the stupid ideas I've been harboring in my brain for, well, let's face it, my entire life, might actually come to fruition someday, and might actually impress some people someday. It gives me hope that someday I'll do something that will evoke in somebody else the same reaction that Boss Rush most recently evoked in me. And I want to share stuff like that. Like the commanders of the demon overlord? Kinda, maybe. Perhaps there is a secret boss. Perhaps there's a secret boss in the boss fight. Boss Rush. Yeah, if you guys want any Boss Rush merch, which I totally recommend because goddamn, like, first of all, Click Draws. Amazing artist. I love his colors. It's so everything. You can always tell when Click made a piece because the colors are mega saturated. It's like saturated to the point where an art teacher would probably tell you not to do that, but do it anyway because it looks cool. I like it. But yeah, second of all, the art on the merch is phenomenal. You can get a metal waifu cup that's got all three of the girls on it, which is awesome. I bought all of the merch. I bought a mouse pad I don't need. I bought the poster pack that I don't have space for, and I bought the one big poster with all three of them that I'm literally going to tear down another poster. Well, not tear down. I'm going to gently remove it from my wall in order to put that one up. I might get that one framed, honestly. God, it's so cool. And it does feel a little weird to gush about it because these are people that I don't know. Like, I don't know them personally, so it feels weird to say stuff that, like, I'm proud of them or to support them. It feels weird for me to tell you to support them when it's not. It's just something that I'm into. It's not anybody that I know personally. But it's so fucking cool, dude. I just love it so much. It's too cool for me not to talk about. And especially the stuff that Cinder does, because she's got really, really big ideas. I knew from the moment I watched the Demon debut, I knew that her ideas were huge and exactly the kind of thing that I am interested in. So, and Boss Rush, I think, is the only thing that I have seen so far that tops the Demon debut. So when you experience people your age who succeed and you witness how they grew, yeah, it's nice to watch people grow too. I'm not sure I am exactly Cinder's age. She's 14,010, and I am not, so she's not exactly my age, but I know what you mean. I did recently learn that I am... well, I've always kind of had a hunch that I was on the older end of the spectrum when it comes to VTubers, but I did recently learn that there are a few VTubers out there who were, like, as old as I am, or very slightly older than I am, that I didn't know, that I thought were, like, younger than me. I'm not going to say who, and I'm not going to say how old, because that's, like, personal information, and low-key can get you doxxed. But it was surprising to me. And comforting in a way, because, you know, if they can do it, so can I, right? Age is not a factor. But like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream there, I am going to try and shift focus a little bit in 2025. I need to, maybe not shift focus necessarily, but to focus more on what I claim to be focusing on. Like, I want to grow the channel, I want to collab more, I want to do this, like, for real and full time. And presently that's not exactly feasible, but maybe with luck, with great luck, and with a whole lot more work and focus and dedication, I think I can get there. My problem lately is that I haven't been putting the work in the right places, and taking that week off was to get myself to slow down a bit in order to get my focus in the right places, in order to figure out what those places are, what I need to do, how I need to do it. I need to move country first. That, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. I am going to tell you that you can get started with whatever you have. I don't want you to, I don't want to discourage you at all, Clay, because I know that you put in work on your own. One of these days I'll be able to stop in for one of your streams. Time is a cruel mistress, but I know that obviously different countries around the world have different rules about what you can and can't do, regardless of Twitch's own rules or YouTube's own rules or whatever you happen to have going on. So that's its own separate struggle. I'm not going to discount that. But I am going to say that I hope that you are able to, I hope that you have the will, the energy, and the luck to do and get done everything that is presently within your power. I know that I have a lot more potential than what I am harnessing, and part of what I want to work on next year is harnessing all of it. If that means that I'm putting 100% of my efforts into growing here, and I have to abandon any other hobbies or prospects, I guess is the word, then I think that's something I'm willing to sacrifice. It's not something I'm willing to give up on. For example, publishing a book. Writing and publishing, I think I can do in tandem with this because of the way that I've kind of set us up here, the theming. For me to do writing and reading on stream that's what you guys have come to expect so far, I hope. Is we have gaming, and then we have reading, narration, story analysis, and that kind of thing. So it's all encompassed. I guess, I don't know, I'm kind of a professional at beating around the bush. Basically what I've decided is that I need to do more offline stuff. I need to make YouTube videos, and I need to make more shorts and clips and stuff and share them around and spread them around and be annoying about it. Not be obnoxious about it, but be annoying about it, because the squeaky wheel gets the grease, you know what I mean? And I'm really bad at talking myself up and spreading the word about, hey, I'm doing this thing and you should care, because why should you care, frankly? It's like that old phrase, nobody wants to read your shit. You know? Everybody's got their own thing going on. So what do I bring to the table? And I've been trying to I've been trying to say this is what I bring to the table, but I need to show this is what I bring to the table. That's something I've been lacking. I've been saying what I bring to the table is a mythological, analytical, storytelling perspective on all of your favorite games. I haven't actually been bringing that to the table. I've been talking a big game, and I haven't been talking about the games. that wasn't supposed to be a... Anyway, but yeah, in the new year, I hope to be able to do more of that. I hope to reach out to more people, get them interested in mythology, in games, in storytelling, and just be more. Make as much as you can, because once you get one that gets you noticed, you can go, hey, I have all these here. Yeah, there's that. And that's part of the reason why I focus so much on actually streaming, is that, hey, if you stumbled upon my stuff and you like me, here's a year's worth of backlogged streams we have at this point on our VOD channel. There's like, hey, if you like what you see now, maybe you'd like the stuff that you saw before. But I can't just rely on streaming and VODs, right? I have to make continuously engaging content. I want to make continuously engaging content. And you guys will see that coming up pretty soon. Some of it. Part of it is Build Your Oshi. I think that's a cool project. I have fun making that project. Theory crafting the builds and all of that stuff. So I hope that you guys enjoy watching it as a produced video, kind of a how-to in Elden Ring sort of deal. But also other stuff. Something I'm calling Myth Morsels, which are going to be shorts. YouTube shorts, TikToks. I know TikTok's probably not going to be around much longer in the US. I don't know what the deal is with that. I go with the flow as far as that goes. I feel like YouTube is generally the better platform to put those on anyway, but who's to say? Myth Morsels is going to be bite-sized stories relating real-world mythology to in-game stories that we found in the games that we have played on stream, and maybe a few that we haven't. If you were here, God, I don't know, back in like March or May or whenever it was we played Okami on the channel, you may remember I made 1 or 2 Myth Morsels episodes about Okami specifically. This past week that I was off, I spent a lot of time writing those episodes. A lot of them are still for Okami, because Okami is absolutely brimming with Japanese mythology. The stories that they adapt in Okami and the way that they adapt them are so well done. It is such a good game. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it, especially if you're into Japanese culture. Okami has so much. It is chock full of Japanese mythology. So there's so much to draw from there. So a lot of the writing I did do was for Myth Morsels Okami version, but I do have a couple of other games in mind that I have written stuff for. Some of them may surprise you. But I'm hoping that the more games that we go through on stream, the more myths I'll be able to talk about, the more stories I'll be able to compare them to, which is why I'm excited to do stuff that I know has mythological ties, like Fate Stay Night or God of War, if and when those games ever get remastered, or Fire Emblem, because I know that despite not necessarily drawing from mythology, Fire Emblem does use a lot of names that come from mythological figures. So the more that we do here on the channel, hopefully the more inspired to write I will be. And the more inspired to write I will be, the more inspired to create, and the more I will create, and the more we'll get out there. And that's kind of the idea, I guess. I'm getting a bit rambly. Let's see if I can do this. We can. Some people have higher raid restrictions, which is okay, but sometimes it makes me a little disappointing, making me self-conscious. Well, I don't mean to do that. I mean, you don't sweat it, bro. We'll all get there. I think it's more work than luck. Not that I'm speaking from any. It's work and luck. The more work you put in, the more likely you are to get lucky. That's pretty much the long and the short of it, I think. This is not me talking from a perspective of success. This is me talking from the inside looking out, because I pay a lot of attention to what other people say who are successful on the matter. I took a lot of notes when I was at WeebCon and when I was at TwitchCon from creators who do this. So I feel like I have all the tools at my disposal, and you probably do too, Clay. It's just a matter of using them. So, thank you guys for joining me. I'm going to stop my preaching now. We're raiding Numi because she's got her new debut and she's got like a 48-hour stream going on. So go head over there, have fun, be nice, raid Leaf, and I'll catch you all later.